Hello, Deandra. Okay, thank you so much for your submission here. Um, I noticed there's no magazine here. If you take a look at the video in the Welcome to Module 6 course announcement, in this video in here, I recommend that students submit a PDF of their magazine ad along with the submission of the animated GIF so we can check the consistency, the harmony, and uh, basically to check the adaptation from the magazine ad to the banner ad. I see that you haven't had a chance to submit that, so we'll just take a look at the animated GIF for the banner ad. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got that up right here, and I think you're looking pretty darn good. Whoops, didn't want to do that. What I did want to do is this. I wanted to, there we go. Let's bring that so we could fit it in the window and see it. Okay, that's what I'm going for right there. Okay, so we can see the magazine ad, right? Really nice animation. Good job there. One thing you may consider in this animation, see how it fades in beautifully and then it just blinks out? That's a little abrupt. I would recommend fading it in, then fading it back out, and then starting that again so that there's no point in time where there's nothing there. You don't want you want to always have that animation in action, because if the viewer happens to look at this banner at right now, they could possibly miss that. I think your animation is speedy enough here that that's probably not a concern, because there's only a fraction of a second that there's nothing visible there. So I'd like you to maintain that while you fade out. So you're fading in, keep it visible, then fade out, and then start that loop again. And I think that will really, really help to kind of tone down the abruptness, especially at the tail end of that animation where it just kind of blinks out. Okay. Right now, there's a little bit of hierarchy issue in that your subhead is actually larger than your headline. You want that subhead to be smaller. That will preserve your hierarchy. So think of a newspaper. Headline is the largest. Subhead is smaller than the headline, but bigger than the body copy. And then the body copy is the smallest. That will preserve your hierarchy. What I would do with this headline, I would reduce the size a little bit. I think it's too big. Watch my cursor. Something about right about here or so. Okay, so maybe end it like where the A is right there. That'll entail reducing the size. Then you'll reduce this size, left align this subhead right there. Then what I would do is this. The rest of the page looks fantastic. Of course, we're missing the masked image from assignment 2-1. That is required. So we got to get that masked image in here somewhere. It doesn't have to be the exact masked image from 2-1. If you feel it doesn't fit well, just mask out another element, and maybe a tropical flower or something, and place it in the ad somewhere. My final recommendation is this. You know, that you've got this drop shadow and this white stroke on the logo. And one thing I want to teach you this about branding and about style guides. As a designer, if you have a client who has a style guide, it's reasonable to assume that the elements in the style guide, as a designer, you can't touch. You can use those, but those have already been accepted. Now, I had a situation like this once. It's almost identical to this situation, so I'm going to share this with you. It was a logo that I had created for a company that does a bunch of ministers. It's a wedding officiant company, right? And I did their logo and I did their branding and everything, and I created a style guide for them to use. And about a year or so later, I was surfing on the web and I saw a banner ad for the client that I had created the logo for. And the designer who created the banner ad had added this drop shadow to, and now in this case, you've got a stroke added to the resort and spot, and you've got drop shadow. It looks like you also have a stroke added to the logo mark. And if we go over to the original, we see that's just not present here. Actually, the stroke is on that logo mark, but not on these letters. So you've added a stroke, a white stroke on the letters, and you've added a drop shadow. So that would be considered a no-no. Just to finish my story, I immediately issued I contacted my attorney and we issued a cease and desist meaning that we gave the designer who created the banner ad a chance to go back in and correct the logo, which they did. They removed the drop shadow and presented the logo exactly how it was presented in the style guide. So just food for thought for me, for you as a designer, just to know that what is in a style guide is dogmatically to be adhered to. So don't ever, as a designer, take it upon yourself to make any changes to something in a style guide unless you have um, permission or request from the client to do so. And even in that case, as a designer, I would get that in writing so that later on down the line, some marketing manager doesn't say, contact you and say, hey, why did you add this drop? Do you see what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know. I'll try to clarify further. But the point is that we're not free to make changes to elements that are in a style guide. So that I would replace. Definitely want to replace that with the original logo without any drop shadow or strokes therein. Okay, so yeah, really, really good job. Love it, love it. Working out just beautifully. So try those changes. Um, I just want to address this real. Call us today to claim your free night. You can just say contact us today to claim your free night and just animate that in. And that way you don't have to include in this day and age, very few people really get on the phone. Most people book their vacations online. So to include a telephone number, I think you don't need to. I mean, I'm being a little bit picky here. But nonetheless, I think that's worth mentioning at least, is that if you just say, uh, act today to claim your free night. Now, viewers know that if they click this banner ad in a real life setting, the banner ad is going to act as a URL. It's a link that take them right to the client's website where all pertinent information and booking resources are available right there. So you may consider changing the verbiage of that. My final recommendation is, and I don't know if I said this already, excuse me if I did, but you want to include the geographic location in your banner ad somewhere. I mean, even if it's just, located in beautiful U.S. Virgin Islands, small in white right down there, right at the bottom of the call to action. Don't animate it, just leave it right there. I think that you don't want to include the entire contact information, but including the geographic location is something that it would be very pertinent information, specifically since the client is located in the Caribbean. I think it makes a big difference to the viewer as to whether or not they're going to actually pursue and click the ad or not. So I would definitely add that information. Other than that, fantastic start. If you have any questions or need any further clarification, I'm right here. So, and if you want to resubmit after addressing these changes, have at it. I'll be glad to provide additional comments. If we get through this week and you haven't made those additional changes yet, you're working next week, you want to pop it into the general questions area, I'll be glad to take a look at it there and provide additional comments. Okay, great start. Thank you so much.